We're Just Got Played, and this is our 5th episode of Gaming Through the Alphabet. So, what is Gaming Through the Alphabet? We are going through the alphabet, starting at A and going on down, and for every letter, we're telling you what is our favorite published game, board game, that starts with that letter, and also the highest rated game on BoardGameGeek. So, I mentioned we did 4 videos before this one. In this video, we're going to be covering the letters M, N, and O, but if you missed those other videos, look in the description of the video down below. I'll have links to those other videos, and when we publish more videos in the future, I'll link those down below as well. So, all right, are we ready to get started?
Let's
Erock,
do
I'll turn
this.
it over to you.
Excellent. Letter M. Special place in my heart for the letter M because I am Lloyd the Mock. So I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and kick us off. For my letter M, I'm going with Mechs and Minions. I absolutely love Mechs and Minions. This is a game that was produced by Riot, who does League of Legends. And as far as I know, to date, it's the only board game they've done. I think they're working on another project, but I think this is the only one they've done so far. They're working on 2 projects. Oh, it's already done. Okay. Well, anyway, this is the one I know, and it's fantastic. This is basically a fantasy-style programming game. And by fantasy, I mean it's got big monsters, and you're like gnomes, and you ride these little mechs around and stuff. So it's all in this fantastical world. Like I said, it's a programming game, which kind of usually annoys me. But in this game, somehow it works because it's so silly. Like you program your robot and then kind of watch them go. But you know that things happen. You know what I'm saying? So like you get errors in the programming and they just kind of happen. So you just take it in stride. You're like, well, I was going to go forward 2 places. Whoa, there I go. I'm going crazy again. And this like 4 people doing this thing, all trying to accomplish this puzzle-like mission of how do we accomplish this thing within the amount of time or something like that. I just think it's fantastic. We've had some discussions on this channel about this game here and there in the past, and I've said it was an incredible price point. It first came out at $75, and I mean, it's just chock full of goodies. Everything is beautiful. The minis are fantastic. Like, just ridiculous price point. We have discussed that they may have done that just as a thank you to our fans. And if that is true, then thank you for the thank you, because it's fantastic and I love it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, this game, $250 would be a reasonable price point for
Amen.
this game. And I think,
Yes.
I think you can still get it for like $100 shipped. And I love this game. Like you mentioned with programming and it just being crazy and stuff getting knocked out. Like I feel like people can get bent out of shape at programming games when they're competitive, but this one's cooperative, right? So, you know, it's nobody is trying to mess you up. And when somebody messes you up, it was just, you know, an event that happened, which events in board games mess you up. That's how cooperative games work, right? So it's okay. And it's to be expected. And you know, it's a campaign game. So playing through the whole campaign is fun. It's replayable after that, you know, just, I'm going on and on about this game because it is also my M. Mechs versus Minions.
Crossover.
Yeah, I think the publisher, by the way, made a game called maybe Bloodstones, and it's just a like memory game with some like really high components, but ultimately it's just some stones with you try to remember who put what where. Like it landed with a complete thud. I think this was the same publisher, and it was their second effort, and it was a total dud. But you know, I don't know. You have to go check on that.
Excellent. Well, that's mine and Steven's M game. Can we get another crossover here somewhere? JJ, why don't you tell us what your letter M is?
Yes, I'm very excited for this because I'm breaking the rules. I am breaking the rules. The game I am picking was technically supposed to be out, and it's not out for Kickstarter, so I actually have not played it, but I'm very much a geek, and I like geeking out, so I'm breaking the rules, okay? The game I picked is Masters of the Universe. There's actually 2 games based off this property, and I'm actually wearing a shirt. This is the first time I got to wear a shirt for the game I've been talking about, so I'm just going to fill myself up here right here. All right, feels good. Now, there's a little caveat because technically it's 2 different games. There is Masters of the Universe, Fields of Eternia, and then Masters of the Universe, Battle for Eternia. Pretty funny because one is only released in Europe and the other one's only released in the Americas. I'm getting both copies. Yeah. Shh. I have a house in Germany. Yeah, so I'm getting both of them. Now, I'm going to put these two games together because technically they're not much different. They're skirmish games. What happens is each player takes on a character from the Master of the Universe line. Everybody name a Master of the Universe character right now.
He-Man.
Yep, there you go. That's one.
Skeletor.
There you go. That's one person. Where are the rest of you guys at? Driving me crazy. I'll probably have to put up my little pop figures that I have out here. There's a whole wall, as you can see up here. There's pops and t-shirts and everything. So I'm very excited about this because it's very pretty. You guys will see in the pictures that we have up here of what the game looks like. It's a skirmish game. You can either play all heroes against the bad guys and Skeletor's forces, or you can be all the bad guys, Skeletor's forces, Beastman, Evelyn, and all of them against the good guys. And the person playing the opposing force can be an NPC, or somebody else can actually take control of them. So I'm very excited. As far as I can tell, they both play the same in that regard. You're playing it's like good guys versus bad guys turn, and good guys, and everybody has a different thing, and then they're all fighting each other. So a lot of different little pieces. There's rocks and trees, and you got all the forces. There's like the mini He-Mans, and you got the Eternia forces versus the evil forces, and just so much going on. You all see in the pictures. There's a lot going on. I'm very excited. Very first He-Man game, and I jumped on board and went all in for both of them. So yeah, $1,000 in, and I'm very happy about it. So check it out. Very excited. I will be doing a playthrough, and you guys will get to see that. So just excited about it. I broke the rules, and I'm not apologetic about it.
Well, at this point, I would be stunned if anybody crossovers with you. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Babe. Babe, what's your M game?
So my M game is Mystic Vale. It is a really fun card builder game where you are buying these clear inserts that have different things written on them that go into sleeves that you're managing in your hand. And it's got a really cool press your luck mechanism a little bit where you flip until you are done flipping or until you bust. You know, it's up to you. And you get your points to buy these inserts to build up your cards so that when you draw your hands, you can get even more money and resources so that you can buy better things and buy these end game point cards. And it's just a fun, pretty light deck/card building game.
Yeah, I agree. This is an interesting game. I like that it's a deck builder, but you do it all within the same deck of cards by flipping these clear plastic things in and out. It totally changes your deck up without actually just bulking up with more cards. It's a really interesting mechanic.
This was my runner-up game, so I very much agree with this. I was going to go with this if I had not broken all the rules.
Excellent. All right. Good games. Lloyd, you can either partner up with JJ or with Tiffany. What is your M game?
Well, it's going to come down to a little mini game we're going to play here. You guys are going to choose numbers 1 through 3, and that's going to choose my game because I had a clear front runner, but through some shenanigans with the list, I'm able to put it somewhere else, and I don't want to talk about it twice.
It's El Grande.
So, issue with the other 3 games of choosing one because they're all equally in their own way there, and I can't choose one. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys, and if I don't like it, I'm just going to choose myself. So, Steven, what? Number 1 through 3.
It's Marvel something. Number 2.
2, okay. Wait, Jim,
always number 1.
Number 1, okay. We got 1 for 2 and 1 for 1.
3.
3. Oh, for the tiebreaker.
Yes, this is what I wanted.
Pick a number. 3. What is number 3 on my list? Okay, number 3 on my list is Mysterium.
Okay, nice.
Good game.
Okay.
So I was stuck between Meeple Circus, Mysterium, and Marvel Champions, all for different reasons.
Okay.
However, we'll talk about Mysterium. And so Mysterium is a co-op version of Clue using the Dixit mechanism of surrealistic art cards to give clues. So one player is playing the ghost. They have a certain amount of rounds. I think it's seven rounds in order to give out clues through these dream cards that are these very goofy, weird, dark, all over the gamut cards that just have all these different things on, like a mouse in a top hat standing on a gear with a thing in his hand, a piece of cheese in his hand, and random colors. And laid out on the table is a person, a place, and a thing, just like Clue. One of those people, there are people. There's I think there's, like, depending on how hard you play, there's at least one more than the number of players in the game, but I think you can go up to like 2 or 3 more to try and make the field a little larger. So you have that many suspects, that many locations, and that many weapons. And you, as the ghost, know which player is assigned to which of those 3 sets of objects or places and people. So each player that's playing an investigator will be assigned a person, a place, and a thing. And you are trying to give them clues using those cards, because the ghost can't talk. The ghost is super weak and he can't use any form of communication except those cards. And the fun of it on both sides is, as the ghost, when you hear people like on the same wavelength as you, and you're like, yes, yes, yes. And then you hear some goofy person on the side who's like, it's purple. That's why he put that card there, because it's purple. And you're like, you didn't even know the card was purple. You chose it because there was a gear on the card, and everyone else noticed the gear. But that one person that's screaming about purple just derides the whole group. And then for the next 4 rounds, everyone's looking for purple, and you're like putting more gears in front of them, and no, it's purple, 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 and that's all they're looking for. And it's just frustrating, but it's so funny. And as the game progresses, you narrow it down until you get to the final, assuming everyone gets all of their pieces correct with the clues. Then you get down to the final round, which is where the game, a lot of people find the game kind of falls apart, because it changes up the entire dynamic of the way the game works in the final round. Everyone has to vote, and they can't really talk about voting. And depending on how difficult the game you played, you can either play with a certain amount of clues that you were able to get throughout the game, by guessing, like betting on whether your answers are right or wrong. Or you can just play very simply, where everyone gets to see all 3 clue cards, but you don't tell them what the 3 clue cards go with. So before, if I gave you a clue card and you were stuck on the location, you knew your clue card was about the location and not about the people. In the final round, the 3 clue cards are completely ambiguous. They could all be for one thing. They could all be for separate things. And it's up to the group to interpret those cards without talking to each other and make a vote, and a majority wins. So it's fun up until that final round, because usually that's where the game falls apart and you can lose in the final round because you just get dealt a crappy hand of cards or whatever. The reason why I like this is because literally it's one fond memory that stands out. My mom doesn't play a lot of games. She plays Rummy Cube and cards, and this was one of the ones I was able to get her to play. And she wasn't really into it at first, but I took the first round as the ghost to show everybody how it worked. And then in the second round, another player took over the ghost, and it was a friend of the family. And partway through the game, my mom just like decided that it was us versus them. And she just started going, this is the worst ghost ever. She's wow. And I literally I felt so bad for the ghost. I was like, it's okay. She's on our team. She's just settle down, Mom. But she got so into it. And I've never seen her really get into that much of a game before, where she was convinced that the ghost was out to get us and wasn't on our team. And I had to talk her off that ledge. But so that's my pick. I want to say Mysterium Park The newer one is probably better just because there's way less setup and it's not as intimidating. But I haven't played it. But I think it's the same game, just with less overall setup. But Mysterium, that's the game as voted by Jim Jam and Tiffany, I think.
That's right.
I had an early version of this game, maybe before it was even called Mysterium, and it was called Tajemnice Domostwo or something. So,
Yes.
hey, maybe this will show up as my T game.
Oh, yeah, you can put it as a Polish version, right?
Yeah, right.
Excellent. Well, up
yeah,
to this point, we have you and I crossing over, Stephen. But nothing else. They have one more chance to pair up with the geek. Are they going to do it?
Well, I have to say, I almost called an audible and didn't cross over with you because Mechs versus Minions is my favorite M game. But when you talked about it, I was like, maybe I should switch and talk about Merchants and Marauders because I love that game, but I didn't. And that is also not the geek pick. Yeah, I slipped it in there. I pulled an Erick. But Board Game Geek's #1 game that starts with an M, and I'll turn it back over to you, Erick, to tell us about Mage Knight.
Mage Knight, yes. So Mage Knight is a contradiction in many ways. First of all, I am both amazed that it's the highest ranked M game, and at the same time, it should probably be ranked higher. It's a fantastic game. It's really hard to describe. It's basically it's a fantasy world. So there's spells and monsters, and you play a hero, but that hero might be a lizard or something like that. The production's fantastic. Everything looks great. It looks fantastic on the table. And basically each one of you playing, you can play co-op. At the end, you just kind of wander through this place that you're discovering as you go by placing down these hex-ish tiles, and you're discovering things, you're encountering things. And that's how this game works. But it's incredibly intricate. It is complex. There's so many different things going on in this game. Just as an example. So there's an element of deck building. Now you're not going to get a whole lot of cards to add to your deck, but you can get spells, you can get new skills, you can get retainers like peasants or bowmen or something like that. And all three of these come from different places on the maps. So that's going on. But like I said, you might only add 3 or 4 cards to your deck the whole game on top of your basic deck. Right? Then there's also a mana system. You roll dice at the beginning of every round, and whatever's out there, you get to use one of those. And it's different colors, and you get to use them for different things. And then there's also crystals, which are kind of the same thing as mana, except you get to store them because it's kind of the mana and the crystals kind of a thing. And each card has 2 parts. There's a top part and a bottom part. And the top part is basically an action like move, attack, block, reputation. Well, influence, not reputation. There's also reputation, good and bad, and that has consequences. And so the cards at the top part, which will just say like move 2, but then the bottom part, you can use a mana or a crystal, and instead you can move 4. And every card is like this. Maybe it's attack 1 or move 1, but the bottom part is attack 3 or move 5 if you use one of the crystals. And then, like I said, you got reputation, and that could influence things. If you go bad, you could walk into a monastery and burn it to the ground. Or you could intimidate people into joining you, but you're also not going to be able to recruit people at the village because you're bad, and vice versa. And on top of all of this, there's a day and a night cycle, and things work different in the day and the night. And it's really complex and complicated, and it's fantastic. The problem for me is I'm not a lifestyle gamer. I like to play something and then play something else. And then a couple of months down the road, come back to it. And it's not friendly for this because there's so many individual little rules about everything going on in the game. You basically have to start fresh unless you're playing this consistently, which I'm telling you, if you're a solo gamer, it plays well. This is one of the only games I've ever played solo. It plays very well solo. If you have a group that likes to really drill down into things, you probably will love this. It's just not my kind of group. My kind of group likes to play something different about every time we meet up. And we're lucky to get the same game on the table 4 times in a year. I know, we tried. because we ran a 10 by 10 challenge and we couldn't complete a single. Well, that's not true. We completed one of them because we played Betrayal Legacy, and that has 12 games built into it or whatever. But that is literally the only game in 2.5 years that we completed on a 10 by 10 challenge. So
right, in 2.5, which is breaking the rules. You're only supposed to finish it in 1 year. So we didn't even get that one game.
That's true. Yes. So that's what I'm saying. To me, this game is very, it's guacamole. You love it, you hate it. It's going to depend on who you are, who your group is. Overall, it's fantastic. This is what I'm saying. Like, first of all, I'm amazed at this high. I'm amazed that there are enough people to vote on it to bring it this high up in the standings. And at the same time, I've played it. I know how awesome it actually is once you know what's going on. So it probably should be rated higher, actually. So anyway, I'm done talking about Mage Knight. I don't even own it anymore. I gave up. So that's Mage Knight. And that's the M's. All right. And with that, we'll move on to N. I feel like I have talked enough, so I'm going to throw it back to Lloyd. Lloyd, what is your end game?
Okay, so I know this pick is going to be the top-rated BGG game. I know it. For N. I know it. It is. Napoleon Dynamite. It's pretty much my favorite animal.
Oh, yeah, that's a top 5 game right there.
Yeah.
What?
Love it already.
So N was I had something else for N originally, and then I looked on my game shelf and I was like, I've played that game like 80,000 times because it's quick and it's fun and it's stupid. So if you've seen the movie Napoleon Dynamite, he likes ligers because he likes drawing two animals together. And that's the whole point of this game. You have a little board. It's got a row of tater tots. That's the game board. And you're just trying to get to the end. And the way you get to the end is on your turn, you're going to draw something. You have 2 decks of cards. The decks of cards are animals. You draw both cards, and you have, I think it's like 30 seconds or something, whatever the timer is, to draw a combination of those two animals. You can't draw 2 separate animals. You have to draw like a dolphin and a snake together. And the people have to guess a dolphin and a snake. And so if both of your animals get guessed, you move ahead 2 spaces. Whoever guesses one of the animals correctly moves ahead however many guesses they got. So they could guess one or they could guess both. So you get points by drawing and by guessing correctly. And where the game is kind of really leans into the theme of Napoleon Dynamite is on certain spaces, you have to do very specific things. So there's a vote for Pedro spot where you're busy voting with your dominant hand. So you now have to draw with your opposite hand. So you have to, I'm right-handed. I now have to draw with my left because I'm voting with the right. If you're familiar with the movie, Uncle Rico likes to throw footballs. So if you get on the Rico space, you have to draw your animal throwing a football. Otherwise, it doesn't count, even if they got it correct. So you have to do it. And there's a Kip space. In the Kip space, you have to, because Kip's a jerk, you have to draw 3 animals instead of 2 in the same amount of time. But you still get to move ahead 3 spaces if everyone gets it. So that's my end. I've played it with so many different people. It always ends up on the table. The only reason I didn't notice it is because I don't have a lot of room, and I have games like facing outwards in front of games sideways, so I don't see it. And I haven't played it recently, but I need to. And now that it's on the list, I'm gonna play it again. I don't even remember what my other end was now because I saw that and I was like, this game just brings me so much joy every time we play it. So that's my.
I feel like I could draw a dolphin snake throwing a football.
Jeez, like challenge accepted.
Funny story with my mom because she likes to play it. I have to go through and pull out all the snake cards because you can't even say snake. She can't read snake, cobra, python. If she reads any of those words, she will throw the card and we'll know it's a snake. I have to go through and preemptively pull out all the cards that are related to a snake if she will play it. So,
all right, excellent. Well, that whole thing felt very surreal. I've never heard of any of that before. So, JJ, I challenge you to cross over with that.
I am not going to. Great movie. Never heard of the game, but sounds very interesting. So I am not going to break the rules either this time. I'm going to go with a game that has been played many times, and I love it very much. And it actually introduced me into Almanac, which is a very other good game. And that game that I'm talking about now is Near and Far. I prefer Near and Far out of all the other Above and Below in the whole Islebound series. It's very much in there. I think it's the newest one out of all of them, but it is very story driven. So I like that part. And I also like the fact that it has the book that changes the lands that you go to. So I like building up the RPG part of it, building up your character, getting a little troop going, and then going down into the caverns and discovering all the different things. And then you might have to fight something. I even played the campaign for a little bit. I didn't get to finish it, but that was fun as well. So I like the whole, I don't even know what kind of mechanism that is, like storybook mechanism, where they have the book that changes the board every time you try something new. Because when Almanac came out and I was like, I played Near and Far. I'm going to play Almanac. Already my favorite game. You don't have to explain anything to me. You got like choose your own adventure. You get to choose which way you want to go. I was like, oh, this is amazing. And little spoilers, if you didn't watch the My Father's Work unboxing, that has a little storybook in it as well, and that changes depending on what you choose in the adventure part of it. So anything with a little book that changes the board. I mean, it's technically a different game. Like each thing has a different board. Like game scenario changes depending on what page you're on. So how cool, RPG, and you build it. Oh, I can't wait to play the campaign on Near or Far again and then finish it this time. It was very simple to play, and it was very different depending on the page you're on. So building up a character, going down in the depths, going into town and selling the stuff that you get for fighting the monsters. Oh, so good. Yeah, that's my end, Near and Far.
And just like all of Ryan Lockett's games, absolutely beautiful because it's in his own style that is fantastic. And there you go, Near and Far. Okay, Steven, what is your end game?
So, I like games that support a lot of players, games that are quick. I like party games. So in that vein, my favorite end game is No Thanks, which is another game that probably could have been under a bunch of different letters because of how many languages it's been published in. I mean, the rules are like just a few sentences, right? So how hard is it to publish it in another language? I've heard this described as an auction game. It's almost like a reverse auction, right? Because the way the game works is there are cards that are numbered 1 to 35, and some of them are randomly taken out of the deck, and you don't know which ones are out of the deck. And then a card is flipped over, and it's in front of you, and you can take one of your tokens and put it on that card to say no thanks and pass it on to the next person, because you don't want to take cards. Cards are points, and points are bad. So that a card will keep going around the table until somebody decides to take it. Because the tokens that everybody's putting on the card as you push it around the table, those are good, right? They negate some of the points that are bad. Anyway, so tokens are good, cards are bad. So at some point somebody will take one. And then the other interesting scoring mechanism is if you get a run of cards, then you only score the lowest number in the run. So if you have 31, 30, 29, 28, like that's a lot, but you only score 28. All those other cards, which again, negative, you don't score those. So that makes for an interesting dynamic, right? You might have the 30 card, and then the 31 card comes up, and it starts getting passed around the table. Nobody wants 31. That's a lot of points, but to you, it's 0, right? It just doesn't matter at all. So, it gets around to you, and you just take it, right? No. You put your own token on it and pass it around the table again, hoping everybody else is going to put one more token on it because they don't want it, right? So there's that sort of, gosh, is somebody going to be forced to take this if I push it around? Is somebody else going to take it? Maybe somebody will see a bunch of tokens on the 31 and just take it, hoping the 32 is going to come out later and they'll get a bunch of points passing that around. There's all kinds of dynamic play you get, sort of emergent play you get from this really simple game system. And it's quick, it's fun. I've yet to see anybody not enjoy a play of this game. My favorite end game, No Thanks, with an exclamation point.
Excellent, and probably the oldest game on this list, easily. So, Well, at least this letter, anyway. Okay, babe, what do you have for the letter N?
So I almost had near and far until I asked you which of the games came first, Above and Below or Near and Far? And you said Above and Below. And I said, oh, then I've missed the opportunity to pick that game. I can no longer pick it from my list because we've already filmed it. So, because that was my favorite of those. So I went with my other pick for the letter N, which is really just a repurposing of the letter H. And that is Nova Luna. So Nova Luna is a combination of two really great games, Patchwork and Habitats. And you use the turn-taking system that Patchwork has. The person in last place gets to go next. And you move your pieces along to gather tiles that you lay a la Habitats. So it's a great game. It takes Habitats and it changes it a little bit by adding the patchwork type stuff. And I think it maybe makes it a little bit more accessible. Nova Luna does, but Habitats, for whatever reason, to me, I still feel like you can get lost in just the building of the environment based on the habitat needs for the animals. So I enjoy Habitats probably a little bit more, but Nova Luna was my self-indulgent nudge at Habitats again.
Okay, excellent. Good game, Nova Luna. And for those of you who have not heard this speech before, Babe is absolutely right. Uwe got in touch with Corne von Mussel, who made Habitats, and Uwe said, I really like your game, and I want to make a game out of it. And he combined Patchwork and Habitats together and came up with Nova Luna. I agree. I think it's a really good game. I like the tile system. Like you said, it's exactly the same as Habitats. It's just simplified. Whereas in Habitats, you have a chameleon, and a chameleon needs 2 rocks and a water. I made that up. I don't know if that's true. But a chameleon needs 2 rocks and a water. So you try to get an animal that also has rocks to put next to it. This is way simpler. It's the same thing, but it's completely different. You get a tile that's blue, and it needs to be connected to 3 orange. So you just get orange. It's exactly the same thing, just without any of the theme or that extra layer of stuff on top of it, really. And yeah, the movement's different. Claiming the tiles is different. Instead of doing, basically in Habitats, you kind of go and you move down this grid as you're going and pick up what you go. And yeah, this is the Patchwork system where everything's worth so many movements. And when you take it, you move forward that many, and whoever's last in line, they get to go next. And what I really like about Nova Luna is that you play to a set point. I believe it's 10. If you're the first person, no, it's more like 20. But if you're when you complete a section of a tile might have different things on it. It might say 2 yellows and a blue. It might say 2 blues and a yellow. And it might also say 2 oranges and a yellow. And as you complete these things that it's connected to, you put a little marker on it to show, I completed that one. I completed that one. And in Nova Luna, game's over when somebody uses all their markers. I like that. Habitats is your standard. Everybody takes the same amount of rounds and same amount of chances, but this is different. And just to wrap this whole thing up, this is also my end game. So my end game is Nova Luna, along with Babe. This is another one of our partner crossovers that we've got going on. We are racking up the crossover points, Babe. We just got to keep this up. That's excellent.
If we were playing some couples game, we'd be winning.
Yes, indeed. Well, maybe we cross over with the geek. Steven, what is the geek's end game?
I have not played BoardGameGeek's number 1 rated end game, so I'm going to pass it over to the amazing Jim Jam to tell us about Nemesis.
Nemesis. All right, let me explain this game. Aliens in a board game. Done.
Yes.
That's just so there are other Aliens board games out there, actually with the name on there, and they fail in comparison to Nemesis. Okay, just my humble opinion. Okay, so Nemesis, you start out on a ship, you don't know what's going on, and you have no idea what's going on in the other parts of the ship. There's 10 other parts of the ship. You have to somehow find your way from the control room to the engine room, repair it, or escape on the escape pods. Basically, that's the game. And then there are not aliens. What are they called again? Like
what,
adversaries?
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not xenomorphs. It's like adversaries or something like that. Not aliens. Let's just say that they have a name for it in the game. I don't even remember what it is. But
because they can't step on the license in any way. Right?
Yeah, you can't. It's not, they're not aliens. Okay. Even though the picture, if you put them next to an alien from the Alien game, yeah. Anyways, not aliens are hiding up in the parts of the ship, up in the vents. Okay. Oh, they're in the vents. So you're going through the different parts of the ship, uncovering the tiles, whatever they are. But as you go into a different room, you don't know which room it is because you can move them out or move them around during the setup. And you need to go get like first aid kits, guns, ammo for the guns and everything. And different rooms let you heal some. And at some point, you're going to find the alien baby hatching room, which is very bad. And you have different missions you need to do, which one of them could be go grab an egg so you can figure out how to kill the alien. It's very thematic, but it sucks. Okay, it's very hard. I've played it 3 times and almost won once. This is how bad it is because when you're fighting the aliens, you trigger the aliens, they start coming out, and all of a sudden there's a fire behind you. So you're trapped between a fire and a whole squad of aliens. So it's like, which one's worse? Rocking a hard place. There's the one time I almost won, somebody got out on an escape pod, so technically they won, and then because we were like something, they took my body and took my brain and went off the ship. Something like that. I have no idea because it was just crazy because anything I did, there was another fire in another room and then the aliens were coming. So I was like, whatever. So it's a co-op game, but you can win individually. So it's kind of weird like that.
Yeah, I'm saying it's not a co-op game. I've played Nemesis. I think it pretends to be a co-op game, but it is a knife fight, every man for himself. Because you get that secret objective and it's like, well, be the only one left alive or blow up the ship. And it's like, oh, okay, guess that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's very fun. It's crazy because you have to like try to save the ship, but then you could just like, screw you guys, I'm going in the escape pod. Or we're going to a completely different planet. So yeah.
I think it's possible that your objective could align with other people, which make it seem like you're cooperating, but there is no cooperation in this game.
It's almost like Battlestar Galactica. Somebody's a Cylon and, you're trying to just blow the ship up, and that's your objective. Who's the robot from Aliens, the Aliens movie? Like, he was there, but he was like feeding the people to the aliens. It's kind of that kind of thing. I forgot his name.
Ash?
In the not aliens.
Yes.
Ash.
Ash.
Yeah, Ash. You're Ash. You're trying to feed the humans to the aliens. But it is if you like thematic, if you're very much one of the minis type persons, the minis look amazing in this game. The character powers are great. As you know, I like my character powers. But yeah, it is a grueling game. If you don't like losing, don't buy this. I haven't played the expansions, but they probably are pretty good. I'm pretty sure one of them makes it a lot easier to kill the aliens. But yeah, if you're very much into theme and you like a nice hard game that's not a co-op and not aliens, this is the game for you.
Indeed. All right. And that rounds out our ends, which leads us to the letter O. Yay.
Oh boy.
All right. I'll tell you what, babe. I don't know if you've ever started one off, so you're going to start this one off. What is your O game?
I shouldn't go first because I am kind of cheating a little bit. I'm not cheating. It's legitimately the game, but it is an expansion. So maybe somebody will have played the base game, or we'll mention the base game. So I am picking Orleans Invasion. Orleans Invasion is a co-op expansion to the game Orleans. That makes it a lot more fun for Care Bears like me. And I was pretty intoxicated when I played, and it was several years ago. It was like pre-COVID. It was like 5 years ago that I played. But it's still my O, and it's a really good game, Orleans Invasion.
Excellent. We've talked about it here and there on different videos that we've had. And I think Steven's point was excellent, is that most co-op games, like, you take your turns and then the game beats you up. But this is different This is about thinking strategically as a group to accomplish different things. So it has a different kind of a co-op feel to it, where you're actually like group trying to figure things out, not just trying to stay alive and, survive what the game throws at you. I'm going to go ahead and jump in here because my O is actually Orleans, not the expansion, just Orleans, which I think is a fantastic game. They're both the same in principle, except the Invasion adds a whole other thing going on to make it co-op, which is really impressive. But Orleans is a game, basically, it's a bag builder. What sets this one apart to most other bag builders that I know of, like Altiplano, as a for instance, is you put everything back in the bag every turn and draw back out. So it's entirely possible that you could have things that you never draw out of the bag just because that's the way your luck goes. But it also has mitigation to that too, because if you keep drawing peasants out or whatever, you can put them in slots on your board and leave them out there until you complete that thing. So you can like get them out of the way to get to what you're doing. I like all the things that this game does. Everything that you put in your bag not only gives you something that you can then build with, but it also gives you something for putting it in there in the first place. Like the scholars give you, I forget, books or whatever, or points or whatever. The knights give you like more people that you can pull out of the bag. Like all of this, like everything that you do, like it all affects everything else in this chain of events. And I really, really like Orleans. And this is just a prediction, but I feel like the O's were pretty thin and this was a clear choice. So I'm waiting for somebody else to cross over with the both of us here. Steven, what is your O game?
Yes. Orleans, I've talked about it before, is my O game. I wouldn't be surprised if this is Jim Jam's game too. Is it?
What? Hold on a second. I haven't gone yet. You don't know that.
You've talked about this game before glowingly, and again, there aren't that many O's.
Hold on.
So I'm just gambling here.
I'm going to be what is it? Professor Coldheart here. Because I will, Care Bear's bad guy. Because I will not be playing the expansion. I will only be playing the Orleans and the 5th player expansion. Co-ops, no. Yes. Surprise, surprise. I too picked Orleans. And shocker, not really. Yeah. Is this going to be like a 5-way tie?
No, this is not going to be.
No.
I was just curious.
No.
Well, now, wait a minute.
Oh,
it is.
might be.
Wait.
Mine before.
Wait. It is a 5-way tie because it is BoardGameGeek's number one rated game as well.
Tiffany picked an expansion, not the base game, so
same thing.
Everybody vote that it counts.
It counts. Yeah.
Motion approved.
You're out
4-1. That's right.
Wait, judges?
That's all right. I'm going to pick a better game anyway. It's sad that you guys couldn't find something other than one game.
Let's all gang up on Lloyd. What's your pick?
There's a lot of O's, man.
So my O is On Tour.
So, yeah, that's a good game.
Yeah, it's not Orleans. It's On Tour. It's a good game. So in On Tour, you are a band, and you are trying to plan your route through the United States. The way you do this is it's essentially a roll and write, right? The map is divided up into several territories: north, south, east, west, northwest, southwest, variations. And there's a deck of cards, and there's 2 big old chunky dice that are very big. And you flip a couple cards, and then you roll the 2 dice. And the numbers that come up on the dice are the pairs of numbers that you have to place on the map. So on the map, you have different cities and locations that are blank circles. And if I roll a 2 and a 6, then the 2 numbers I have to use are 26 and 62. Along with using those 2 numbers, I have to choose where to put them based on the cards that flipped up. And I think it's 3 cards, actually. Might be 2, 3. And those are going to restrict you to specific areas of the board that you can put those. And the catch is that whenever you're planning your route, you don't necessarily connect your route as you do it because you're going to have numbers all over the place. But you can only connect an ascending route number. So you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. If you get a bunch of 6s, you can connect, those the same number or higher. And there's some like little give me spaces where you can get, they're like wilds or whatever. I think when you roll doubles or whatnot. But the whole thing is you're trying to plan that route and get the longest connected chain by the end of the game. It's a very simple game. It plays very quickly, very rules light. You roll 2 dice, you pick some areas on the map. There's certain spots, like if you go into a very specific space, you get a circle around it. And that's I think that scores you an extra point for that one. Instead of the 1 point, you get 2 or something. And then at the end, you just count up, how many routes, how many spots you were able to hit, add up your little bonuses from those circle spots. And I think there's some stars at the beginning if you connect. And that's it on tour. And you get to name your band, which is always fun when, like welcome to, you get to name your town, or, this one you get to name your band. So, on tour.
I have this as they made a really good mobile implementation of this. And so I'll play it occasionally just as it's a really good solo puzzle, if you play it on your phone. I don't think you get to name your band on the phone though. That was a new one to me. But it does it because it's on the phone. It does a lot of the bookkeeping for you. It rolls the dice. It tells you what your longest path is, etc. Right. So, but yeah, it's very simple to use. Really good sort of tutorial in there. I recommend the mobile implementation because it's the only way I've ever played it. But it is solid puzzle game.
All right, excellent. That pretty much rounds us out both for the O's and for our M&O showcase that we have. Just as a side note, I'm going to pull an Erick here. I want to say we have both On Mars and Oath on our shelves, and we haven't played either of them. So I don't think it's going to take over Orleans, but stay tuned. You never know.
I don't think we're going to have a bigger crossover than Orleans.
It's pretty impressive.
The list.
I agree.
Yeah, part of that is it just being O's, but it's also just a really good game, regardless of what Lloyd says.
Yeah, I
never actually played it. But the name alone makes me not want to play it. I discriminate games based on their names all the time. And
have you played?
Yeah, screw that. It sounds too highbrow for me.
Well, have you played Orleans?
No, I've not played Orleans either.
Oh, okay, all right. We got a game to show you then, Orleans.
Well, if you know Lloyd and want to someday prove that he's wrong, all you have to do is replay this segment of this video, and we proved it 4-1. Excellent. So I'm Erick. Oh yeah, the Geek too. I'm sorry, Geek. I didn't mean to leave you out.
You're wrong again.
Indeed. Excellent. As you know, I am Erick. I'm here with my babe Tiff. I am here with Steven. I am here with Jim Jam JJ, and I am here with Lloyd. And this has been another edition of Gaming Through the Alphabet. Come back and see us next time, and we'll be doing P, Q, and R. And as always, if you like us, give us a thumb, hit that subscribe button, come and join us on our Discord channel. We'll be happy to argue with you all day long about any kind of thing you want to talk about. Probably board games. Otherwise, we're just all out there. But anyway, see you next time. Yeah, there is an off topic. That's true. Come in and tell us how wrong we are. Thank you for joining us. Happy gaming.
Come on, kids. Let's sing the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Now I will never forget how to say the alphabet. That was fun.